Happy New Year's Day, everybody. January 1st, 2019. Isn't that crazy? Time flies. I know I'm not the only one that sees that. And I really don't think it's something where you can go back and say, we've been saying time flies forever. Like, it really feels like things are speeding up, especially over the last few years. I feel that. Do you guys feel that too? It's crazy. But welcome. Welcome. And I'm glad you survived New Year's. Glad you're able to make it here with us. I hope you had a good and safe New Year's Eve, and that you're still with us today. Some of you may be still recuperating, but I'm glad you made it out here with us. And who knows what 2019 is going to be like, because just going off of my show here alone, 2018 was really, really kooky. So we'll see what happens. Definitely seems like every year is getting just a little bit crazier sometimes. But anyway, thanks again for being here, guys. Like I said, I appreciate you being here. I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you made it. And let's just go ahead and get started here. Swedish State TV seems that they decided to celebrate Christmas in a really weird kind of a way. Because what they're saying is Virgin Mary cloned herself and Jesus was transgender. Like they always do, there's always somebody doing some hit piece on Jesus. Just this last year, there were several stories I showed here on the show about people connecting Jesus with the transgender movement. So, the birth of Jesus, which is celebrated on Christmas Day, occurred without his having a biological father. State-owned SVT, however, has solved the mystery of the virgin birth. Oh, have they? Jesus or Virgin Mary may have been transsexual, they reason. Was Jesus born a girl? SVT asks and believes they have found support for that theory in science. SVT's claim is not the biblical account of the virgin birth, but that Mary became pregnant with Joseph or someone else. But the highly biased left-wing channel has launched a more gender-modern theory, a phenomenon known as parthenogenesis. It occurs among algae, fish, and frogs, and it means that, excuse me, and it means that an embryo develops without fertilization. The offspring then becomes genetically identical to the mother, which means that it must have the same gender. As both the name and the pronoun of Jesus are described as male in the scriptures, but there wasn't even a J around, right? Until Rome. That's when we got the name Jesus. But anyway, it can also be concluded that that Jesus was a transvestite, right? Transsexual, according to this channel. SVT also theorizes about another possibility that Mary was a man who lived as a woman and with parthenogenesis gave birth to Jesus, who was thus also a man. Are you confused yet? How the man Mary got her female genitals and her uterus to breed, carry, and give birth to the little boy child Jesus or his brothers, SVT does not explain. A corresponding analysis of Muhammad's relationship with 6-year-old Aisha during Eid al-Adha or Ramadan is not very probable. Right, yeah. They're not going to do a hit piece on Muhammad because they might get boomed up, right? Meanwhile, Christians are always it's the low-hanging fruit. It's always easier to make fun of the Christians. Or Jesus, specifically. I just want to share this, something I noticed the other day. If it'll pop back up, there we go. Okay. Holmes and Watson, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly comedy is prompting cinema walkouts. You will ask for your money back, it says. The new comedy Holmes and Watson is said to be so bad that it's prompting walkouts from cinema goers. Have any of you seen this movie? I just want to share this because it was like, I'm seeing this all over the place, that apparently it is just total trash. And I'm wondering if any of you went out and saw this over the holidays and what you thought about it. The film, which unites Step Brothers stars Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, was released on Christmas Day, having not been screened to critics in advance. Following its release, reviews began to surface online, the negativity of which leading to the film receiving 0% on Rotten Tomatoes after 24 hours. It now sits at 4%. It seems the public are agreeing with the critics. Numerous messages posted to Twitter revealed people have been forced to leave the cinema, with some even asking for their money back. Holmes and Watson was the worst effing movie of all time, one user wrote, adding, first movie I've ever walked out on. Another added, Holmes and Watson possibly the worst film I've seen. Walked out the cinema. One Twitter user branded the Ethan Coen film the worst piece of trash movie I have ever seen in my entire life, with another urging members of the public to, quote, run away from the film. The last movie I remember walking out of, this was a long time ago, many years ago, was a Tom Green movie called Freddy Got Fingered. Did you ever see Freddy Got Fingered? Wow. Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. And it doesn't stand up. It was on one of these movie stations a few months ago, and I figured I'd try to check it out again. Definitely does not stand up. Anyway, I wanted to share that because with me, part of being awake, it changes the whole experience of taking in any modern entertainment. And we talk a lot about that, and being awake, so to speak, to the symbols and everything, and a lot of the meanings, the hidden meanings in these movies and TV shows. Being awake to it, it naturally, you kind of kill your heroes. You no longer have these false idols. Like Will Ferrell is a good example. Will Ferrell. Anytime I think of Will Ferrell now, this right here is what I see. This right here is what I see. So I'm not going to give this guy any of my money ever again. I'm not going to partake in any of his garbage, because this guy has been to some of these Marina Abramovic spirit cooking parties. Here he is. These cannibal parties. There's that. Excuse me. I was in a smoky bar all night last night. A friend of mine, actually some brothers, have a band, and they played a show last night, and we all got in free. So me and my friends went, and now I'm dealing with, just all the smoke in the lungs, man. Super smoky place. And there's something else he did, though. So, you could say, well, you're being too hard on him. Maybe he just attended one of those things. But Will Ferrell. Then he went and did this right here. He is a part of this mock satanic ritual. I can't remember the name of the show he was on here. Let's see, maybe there's another example. Oh, it's this guy. It's his show, whatever his name is. Anyway, there it is. Yeah, it was a comedy show. Wink, wink. And Will Ferrell performed this kind of mock satanic ritual on stage. As you can see, we're in the horns and all the red, black, and white, and they have the pyramid there as well. There you go. It's a mock blood ritual. Because he knows, he knows what it's all about over there. At least he's involved in that portion of it. I did a video a while back where I mentioned something about him, and you can look up their faith, and publicly he says he's an atheist. And I've just showed how interesting it is. We find so many atheists, self-proclaimed atheists in Hollywood getting involved in this obvious satanic stuff like this. Happens a lot. Anyway, his movie is tanking at the box office, and I don't give a rip. I thought this was interesting, just kind of one of those random threads we're going to follow here. Britney Spears put the Psalm 23 up on her Instagram, and I guess a lot of people made a big deal out of it. Like, oh, wow, this is a beautiful message, But I remember a time when she did this. See if I can find it. Okay, there's some. Oh man, this sucks. These Bing images are terrible. You can't bring anything straight up for whatever reason. But anyway, I was trying to show you this. Some years back, they were saying that Britney Spears her Twitter got hacked because somebody went in there and started talking a lot about the New World Order. And some people think that was actually her. And, you've probably seen some of the videos and some of the breakdowns on Britney Spears and MK Ultra. And I definitely think a lot of that stuff's real close to the truth when it comes to her. She's had a lot of interviews where she's broken down and acted really strange. And, of course, shaving off all of her hair. That was one thing, and going a little crazy and saying she was just tired of people touching her. Been involved in all those rituals and everything else. So there you go. I was hoping I could bring up one of these. Maybe this one here. It's not coming up. But yeah, so a while back, that's what happened. They said that she'd been hacked. Let me see if I can just go to all. Let's see. Okay, here it is. This is from 2010. Britney Twitter hacked with Satan posts. You hear that noise in the background? That's Chubbs. He's in lockup. I put him in lockup. He has been being a bit of a stinker today. And I didn't want him getting involved with the show and getting in the way. So he's scratching at the door. So you can probably hear the door kind of shaking a little bit. Hopefully he'll stop that pretty soon because it is annoying. But this is why he does it. He's a smart cat. Britney Spears' Twitter account appears to have been hacked by hijackers looking to create mayhem for the pop star. The hackers changed the background on her account and switched her profile picture to a more satanic red-hued image. Hackers also tweeted 2 messages from her account. I gave myself to Lucifer every day for it to arrive as quickly as possible. Glory to Satan. This is a different one. Okay. Yeah, so I guess she's been hacked a few times, but as you can see, they put the pyramid with the eye up here as well and all that. Anyway, so Psalm 23. So she put up Psalm 23. It also made me think of I Pet Goat 2. Psalm 23 is an I Pet Goat 2. There we go. Finally, one of the images comes up. You see that? Psalm 23. And that was in the heavily occultic I Pet Goat 2. A lot of people have done breakdowns on that. I try to watch most people's breakdowns on these things on I Pet Goat 2 because, not everybody has the full story. Sometimes it takes a lot of different people looking into these things. And a lot of people come up with different ideas. That's all. I don't know what it means. I just thought when I saw the Britney Spears released Psalm 23 on her Instagram and everybody was freaking out, it made me think back to this. Psalm 23 from I Pet Goat 2, which is a very symbolic animation all about the coming of the Antichrist. And, the FEMA camps inactivated and all the worst parts of the end times conspiracy theories you can imagine take place and more take place in this animation, I Pet Goat 2. Check this out. This is pretty wild. Samsung patents phone display that projects Star Wars-like holograms. Samsung claims that it has invented a new holographic device that will actually project high-quality 3D images in the air without you having to look at a display from a specific angle. The display, according to the patent published by the World Intellectual Property Office, uses a new type of spatial light modulator that eliminates the limited viewing angle and low resolution of current holographic technologies. It's cool. Scientists have been working on realizing the dream of true 3D holograms for a long time. 3D images and video that appear in thin air and can be seen from any angle, just like you see objects in real life. Current holographic technology requires you to look directly at a 2D surface with a very limited angle, like the laser-etched steel images you can find on your Visa card or the parallax barrier-based display used in the Nintendo 3DS display or the Red Hydrogen 1 phone. Okay. I don't know what all that meant, but this looks cool. Samsung patents phone display that projects Star Wars-like holograms. Cool. Neat. Bring it on. Oh, this is pretty wild. This recently happened at the Texas Muslim Capital Day. I guess they had a Muslim day at the Capitol in Texas. And check this Texan lady out and what she did. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you. Listen closely. This is at the Texas Muslim Day, Capital Day.
I proclaim the name of the Lord Jesus Christ over the capital of Texas. I stand against Islam and the false prophet Muhammad. Islam will never dominate the United States, and by the grace of God, it will not dominate Texas. I proclaim the name of the Lord Jesus Christ over the capital of Texas. I stand against Islam and the false prophet Muhammad. Islam will never dominate the United States, and by the grace of God, it will not dominate Texas.
Hardcore, right? What do you think about that? Just step right up. I love it, though, man. That's good. That's a warrior. You know, there's a warrior. Texas Muslim Capital Day. She definitely put it to him, didn't she? I'd say. Single mom surviving on 42. I never know what that symbol is. I know that some European currency, pound or a quid, I really don't know. But single mom surviving on 42 whatever a week is forced to strip on webcam so she can afford Christmas. I really don't want to get deep into this story. You know, I don't want to read a whole lot of it. I don't want to show you a bunch of pictures because it's so, you know, it's what the mirror is. Obviously, it's at times it can be a real trash rag, you know, and it's all about exploitation. And that's kind of what this story is, because if you scroll down, it's all super sexy pictures of this lady, you know, so that's all it is. You know, it's clickbait type stuff. But beyond that, it's the message I was looking at. And this is something we see so often again in our world. It's the sympathy for the devil. You know, it's like it's okay to do evil acts. It's okay to do bad things as long as you're doing it to provide for your family, right? One of my favorite shows that has come out in the last several years was a series called Breaking Bad. And Breaking Bad was all about that. I mean, you know, you could see through it, see it for what it is, but it was all about a guy saying he was doing this for his family, right? But he really just went too far over the edge. He broke bad. You know, by the end of the series, he had fully given over to his darkest side, you know. And I won't ruin it for you, but, you know, it didn't all end up being puppy dogs and ice cream. But anyway, it was a very popular show. And again, pushing out that idea that, you know, it's okay to do horrible, evil acts. It's okay to do bad things. It's okay to sin as long as you're doing it for a purpose. You know, you're trying to take care of your family or something. It's okay. It's like the hitman with a heart. You know, you've seen those movies, the assassin with a heart, you know. He's just trying to make enough money to get out of the business, you know, and take care of his ailing grandmother, you know, or whatever it is. We see this kind of stuff all the time, right? So single mom surviving on 42 whatever a week is forced to strip on webcam so she can afford Christmas because there's no other job she could get into, right? There's nothing else she could do. Like the only choices she had was I can be a whore or I can be hungry. And there's more choices than that, than whoring yourself out for a couple bucks, you know, showing them tatas on the computer screen, shaking that rump, you know, to get $1. Amazon's creepy facial recognition doorbell will surveil entire neighborhood from people's front doors. I've been working on a couple bigger videos. I'm always working on something. It just takes me a while sometimes, but yeah, they have to do with the future, with the smart homes connected with 5G and everything else. And it's going to be straight up like it's going to be our bars. We're already in a prison in a lot of ways here in this world, but we're about to see the bars more and more. Where they're really completing this whole system, and it's just crazy how it's all coming together. And then once they have the system set up to where everything's plugged in, online, then we're next. That'll be the mark of the beast. That'll be us next. Which the mark of the beast isn't going to be just some marker, and they're going to put an X or something, or they're going to literally write 666 on your forehead. We're going to be involved in this transhumanism thing as well. Well, we won't. I'm not. I know most of you aren't either. I'm not going to fall for it, but that will be a part of it. Excuse me. I've covered that a lot in the past, and other people have as well, about what that's going to look like, the mark of the beast, and how they've already set it up to where it's going to be able to, you're going to be able to unlock your front door, by thinking about it or blinking about it or something. Who knows? I mean, you'll be connected to your home, to your everything. You just create an email right in front of your eyes or something. Just crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Total sci-fi movie stuff, but it's happening now. At first glance of Amazon's new patent application, one would be tempted to think it no more than a built-in smart security system. But no, this facial recognition surveillance doorbell does a lot more than record would-be thieves. The application describes creating a database of suspicious persons. Unwanted visitors would be added to the list when a homeowner tags them as not authorized. Other people could be added to the database because they are convicted felon or registered sex offender, according to the application. Residents may also alert neighbors of a suspicious person's presence. But some people, such as a mail carrier, can be placed on an unauthorized person's list. Postal service logos could be used to help identify them. Putting people on a naughty list? Wait, doesn't that all sound eerily similar to the, social credit system they just rolled out in China? Anyway, we're starting to see all this is coming together, right? It's all coming together. They're trying to make the world a lot smaller, a lot more controlled. Speaking of which, this falls right in line with what we were just talking about. Mind reading breakthrough. Human thoughts watchable on TV screens, says AI expert. Futurologist Dr. Ian Pearson believes a helmet placed on a human head in a laboratory will be able to project their thoughts in real time. He spoke after researchers claimed they can tell what rats are thinking by analyzing activity in their brains. But ex-cybernetics engineer Pearson believes humans will be able to take it one step further. The Futurizing blogger believes that either a TV or a PC screen will display human thoughts as the person is thinking them alive. Can you imagine that? Asked how far away from the technology we are, he said, I would think in a lab we're probably a decade or 15 years away from that. But he warned that governments could abuse the technology as a means for surveillance. He continued, I have no confidence at all in governments behaving in a correct way when it comes to privacy issues. They will always err on the side of having a little more surveillance just in case. They will never protect our privacy. Dr. Pearson said tests analyzing human brain activity have been carried out before. Therefore, he believes we're on course for the terrifying idea of having the privacy inside our heads invaded. He added, there have been demonstrations 2 or 3 years ago where people have been shown videos on YouTube, and then they've had helmets on detecting the signals. Then they have told the experiment to... Okay, I need to see how this guy's writing. He's already screwed up a few times with the grammar, but again, here we go. Yeah, here comes the grammar, please. Then they have told the experimented people to think about some of those videos, and they have been able to replay, discover what the people were thinking about, which videos sequences were going through their minds, basically. Okay, it's interesting. So already it's been demonstrated in the lab that you can interpret people's thoughts to the point of working out what images people are thinking of. That's already history. The proof of principle has already happened. So we're already at the point in the lab. So the real question is, how long before the government's using that? During the experiment on rats, and see, they wrote rates. Probably a freaking AI wrote this story. During the experiment on rates, co-author of the study, Joseph Cisavari, said they had created a brain map. This allowed them to match up neural activity to the actions of the rats, therefore predicting their actions. So, wow. I mean, this really is a sci-fi movie, man. It's like we're living in this constant cycle of predictive programming, and then stuff's released on the public, all the time. This one's really interesting, I thought. Supernatural events terrify police while interrogating celebrity medium John of God over sexual abuse claims as computer takes on life of its own and electrical appliances short circuit. This is a really crazy one. Check this out. Detectives questioning a celebrity medium in Brazil accused of sexually abusing more than 300 women have reported spooky goings-on during their 2-hour interrogation. Unexplained incidents ranging from a bizarre computer crash to wiring on electrical appliances suddenly short-circuiting appears to suggest supernatural forces were at play during the interview. The mysterious problems unnerved cops but didn't deter them from collecting the testimony from faith healer. I have no idea how to say that name. Let's just say John of God. Keeps it easy. And there he is. He looks scary to me. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. Detective Carla Fernandez, responsible for coordinating the task force investigating the allegations, claimed that as the spiritual guru began to speak, strange things started to happen. She said to Folha de Sao Paulo, okay, I don't know. Suddenly, the computer that was being used to transcribe the suspect's answers to the allegations seemed to have a life of its own, and the commands on the keyboard wouldn't work. When the clerk tried to enter the medium's statement, the Cox, man, I'm having some bad slip-ups tonight, huh? Titter earlier, or now the Cox. Very sorry, folks. Forgive me. It was a long night last night. When the clerk tried to enter the medium's statement, the keys locked on a specific letter and "oh" was recorded continuously on the screen for a few seconds. Although this has never happened before, bemused agents put the incident down to a faulty computer. But when the printer in the room began to print without receiving a command and a fridge blew up, their thoughts turned to paranormal interference. Detective Fernandez said, "It was hot in the interrogation room and I decided to turn on the air conditioning. I plugged the lead into an extension shared with a mini fridge and the electrical wiring suddenly exploded, burning out the fridge. Everyone in the room screamed with fright." According to the officer, the 76-year-old spiritual healer, who was accused of sexually molesting women during private consultations at his clinic, stayed silent. She said, "Although these things happened and surprised us, they failed to interfere with our work. He, John of God, didn't say a word." And of course, he's got the pyramid above his head, too. I'm just going to do a separate video on this, but I'm just going to wait and do a full video on a bunch of antichrists that are rising up all around the world. Small, these are the small antichrists. These aren't necessarily the son of perdition or the man of sin, but there are multiple antichrists. So I'm going to do a video sometime and show you a bunch of them. There's a bunch you probably never even heard of. But anyway, the pyramid is our enemy in this respect. We know what it's connected to. It's a part of this beast system. So no surprise, he's underneath the pyramid here. Court documents show that Texera tried to withdraw nearly $9 million before surrendering to police on Sunday. The documents seen by the Associated Press are part of a judge's ruling rejecting bail. Fagner Pinho of the prosecutor's office also said Wednesday that investigators found firearms and large quantities of cash. Okay. Investigators also believe that 2 unexplained incidents which occurred prior to Texera giving himself up could be linked to the occult. A police clerk who was meant to transcribe the faith healer's testimony at the police station in the rural town of Annapolis was run over in a car accident and broke his arm. Investigators originally intended to question the suspect at this small outpost, but the unexpected incident meant the interview had to be transferred. And last Friday, as the press staked out John of God's house in the city of another word I can't pronounce, rumors began to circulate that spirits had cursed the reporters, photographers, and TV camera crew who had camped for nearly 24 hours waiting for the psychic healer to surrender after a warrant was issued for his arrest. He scares me. I know. You're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. Hardened professionals admitted they started praying when a news agency photographer in the press pack suddenly fell ill and lost consciousness for a few minutes. Many who were reluctant to admit the episode was associated with John of God's mystic powers did concede that a paranormal association wasn't so far-fetched. Detective Fernandez agreed the unexplained happenings cannot be flippantly dismissed. I accept that we are dealing with a situation that involves beliefs in mystic energies, she said. I'm a spiritualist and a believer in the spirit world and the paranormal. Although I'm not afraid, I do have a healthy respect for the unknown, she said. Texer has denied allegations that he sexually violated hundreds of women, including his own daughter. Barf. His lawyer claimed his client is being persecuted, and the complaints are made by hundreds of women, with the number now topping some 500. Dang. Are coming from people who want to destroy him, they're saying. Many people also say they were underage at the time of the abuse. Of course, no surprise there. Here's another picture I was going to show you. He's got his own picture up here. This is a classic. This would have been my probably my thumbnail. Maybe it still will be sometime. I don't know. But he's got him, of course, picture of Jesus Christ up here. Well, the picture we're given, right? And most likely Constantine, but still. And then the pyramid underneath, right here. Beast. The dude's beast. 500 women? Really? Yipes. Calm down, dude. And this is so true. So some of y'all know that I worked out in Hollywood many years ago, lived out there for a pretty long time, had an agent. I got to shop a lot of scripts to different companies, TV shows and movies. I wrote all kinds of stuff. Still have it all. A bunch of stuff I've written, all sci-fi horror type stuff years ago. And that's where I really woke up to the beast system, was when I was in Hollywood, and that really changed everything. It's when I wanted to I'd no longer wanted to be a part of that. And that's when I started doing this. That's when I made the scariest movie ever made about 10 years ago now. Anyway, I'm bringing that up because I had some producer friends out there that were connected with NBC. And I wrote a series that I got to shop over there. It was just called Agent at the time. It was a secret agent type story, but it was really crazy. Part of the story is that he was friends with Sasquatches. I know. I know. Bear with me, though. Bigfoots or Sasquatches in my series were Indians. They were a tribe that had been cursed by another tribe hundreds of years ago to be beasts and to be immortal. So they lost, basically. So they're these creatures that never die. And as long as they've been around now, they can't really be out in public either, right? They can't be seen. So they've created this whole culture in caves all around America specifically. And they're littered with books. So if you take books to these Sasquatches, they'll help you with anything they can. They just love knowledge. And they actually worked with Agent, in this show I did. It was a crazy show, man. But of course I didn't sell it, unfortunately. But when I was there, all I heard was, make it darker. Everything was make it darker, make it darker. NBC wants everything darker. And that was like 10 years ago, and they were saying all the networks want darker. Everything's going darker. I just remember that. And now you look at, it has gone darker. You got shows like Preacher out there now. You got TV shows about Lucifer being this cool dude in LA, this cool cat living his best life. Unbelievable. American Horror Story, really nasty stuff on that show all the time. And it's all mainstream entertainment now, right? So there you go. Just want to throw that out there. Now here's another one. And this goes back to things I've been warning about for years. And we see more of this rising. Witchcraft moves to the mainstream in America as Christianity declines and has Trump in its sights. Witchcraft is thriving in the U.S. with an estimated 1.5 million Americans now identifying as witches, more than the total number of Presbyterians. As Christianity declines across the country, paganism has swung to the mainstream. I have been saying that for several years now, right? With witchcraft paraphernalia for sale on every high street and practices normalized across popular culture, in the past 2 years, it has also become darkly politicized. Dakota Brockael, I guess you say it like that, a 29-year-old transgender queer witch. Weird how that goes together. Transgender queer witch. Who would have thought? And co-owner of Catland Books and Witch Shop in Brooklyn, is pleased with the outcome of the ritual hex placed on U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in October. The curse, carried out from Catland Books, was well attended by witches, atheists, and humanists. Tears, I like to call them, and was followed around the country on social media. The goats. Millennials are looking for spiritualism outside traditional religion. The hex centers on the notion that we live in a universe of chaos, entropy, destruction, death, decay, with a final ending of oblivion, scientists are telling us. So the witch does everything for themselves. There is no other help in this universe of decay and chaos. If you don't get in the driver's seat, things will just get worse, the witch said. In a wide-ranging discussion with the Telegraph, Brockael, who described the interview questions as sensationalist, talked about political hexes and witchcraft in general. Brockael is absolutely willing to cause physical harm through a hex. No issue with that. And while Brockael would have been just as pleased with the new Supreme Court justice's death, resignation, or physical disfigurement, the main goal of the Kavanaugh hex and the 3 hexes on President Donald J. Trump from Catland Books this summer was to let them be exposed for who they are, especially as impotent men. Whoa, they went there. Okay. So they want to expose to the world that these dudes' wieners don't work. The curse began with a recitation of the biblical scripture, Psalm 109:8, let his days be few, let another take his office. Catland Books is replete with Christian images, including Archangel Michael, Christian defender against the demonic, and the Virgin Mary. Brockael, a self-described sexual abuse survivor who grew up in a born-again Christian evangelical cult in Arizona, takes umbrage at the notion that witchcraft and Christianity are mutually exclusive. Witchcraft has a ton of roots in Christianity, the Brooklyn Witch says. Indeed, in Brockael's view, the Bible is a spell book, particularly the book of Psalms. Eek! There's its picture. It scared me for a second, for real. I know. You're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. Alabama Police Department blames Satan for spike in homicides. A rural, I hope I say that right. It's a hard word for me to say. Rural, that's right, huh? A rural Alabama police department that used social media to scold community members for rejecting God is coming under fire from a group that opposes mixing government and religious faith. A statement posted on Facebook by the Police Department on Tuesday blames a spike in area homicides on the idea that young people have turned away from God and, quote, embraced Satan. And that story we just read, right? We just read that 1.5 million people in America now identify as witches, and that's more than Presbyterian religion here in America. Isn't that something? I mean, it's right there. That's it. Right there you go. Blames a spike in area homicides on the idea that young people have turned away from God and embraced Satan in different forms, witchcraft being one, right? The Post followed 2 gunshot killings in as many days in Covington County, located on the Alabama-Florida line. But the Wisconsin-based Freedom from Religion Foundation says police in the town of 6,500 people are wrongly promoting religion with a social media message. The group says it's illegal for a government entity to endorse or criticize religious belief. Police didn't immediately return a phone call. This was a Facebook message. This past Sunday, a young man was shot and killed in Kinston. Monday night, a mother was shot and killed in northern Covington County. There have been 5 murders in Covington County in 2018. These murders have been done by our young people. This is happening because we have turned away from God and embraced Satan. I love this guy. Good for you. We may have not meant to do so, but we have. It is time to ask for God's help to stop this. It is time to be parents and raise our children, not have them raise us. It is time to fully support law enforcement and stand by the officers and deputies that are far too often having to walk into these dangerous situations and clean up the mess. Friends, it is time to stand up and be responsible. Grown-up leaders in our community. Bottom line, there are sheep. And there are wolves. I always say that. And there are sheepdogs. Which group do you belong to? I like it, though, man. It's a call to arms, so to speak, but not, anything violent. But it's time to stand up, right? Take authority over situations like this and call it out for what it is. This sounds really weird. Look at this. Holy cow. Cattle from the sign of the cross. Form the sign of the cross. That's a bunch of cows. That's why they said holy cow. I see what you guys did there. Holy cow. Again. Gene Hansen, the North Dakota farmer whom President Trump called a great American, has created messages in his field before. But this time, instead of using his plow, he used his neighbor's cows, approximately 150 of those young black Angus cattle who live across the road from his farm in Edgeley. It's the Christmas season, Hansen told Fox News, and I thought that would be really nice if he put the feed down on the sign of the cross, and he did. It worked. The retired great-grandfather wanted to form the cross to remind people of the birth of Jesus as the reason for the season. It's just a Christian area, he said. Nice. Honestly, though, obviously it would have been a lot cooler if this just happened randomly. If they just woke up one morning and went out there like, what? They hadn't set this up. But still, I want to share. China, man. China. Calm down. Relax, dude. China's going crazy. For real, though. I've been working on a big video about China as well. I just don't ever want to finish it because I'm always waiting on new stories like this. Smart uniforms track Chinese students in truancy fight. I mean, that's the reason. Order out of chaos. This is a classic example of order out of chaos. Right? You're going to lose some of your liberty so we can fight truancy. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, dum-dum. We're going to take your rights away. Okay. There you go. Schools in southern China are using chip-powered smart school uniforms to track their students in a bid to tackle truancy and boost attendance. The uniforms use chips to monitor the location of students and record their exit and entry into school, according to the tech firm behind the tracking devices. And, of course, this is just setting them up for the beast, for the mark of the beast, right? We know that. When students enter the school, the smart uniforms help take a photo or video of them. Neat. This terrifies me. More than half of the school's 1,400 students were wearing the smart uniforms, he said. At least 10 schools in Guangzhou and neighboring Guangzhou have adopted the technology, according to a report by Global Times. If students walk out of the school without permission, an automatic voice alarm will activate, the report said. Paired with facial recognition devices installed on school doors, the smart uniforms can also sense if students swap uniforms. Wow. We chose not to check the accurate location of students after school, but when the student is missing and skipping class, the uniforms will help locate them. So basically, they're nixing that first sentence. They are tracking you at all times. Oh boy, China, calm down. Be cool. China. Look at this. Alexa's back at it again. Millions of users of Amazon's Echo speakers have grown accustomed to the soothing strains of Alexa, the human-sounding virtual assistant that can tell them the weather, order takeout, and handle other basic tasks in response to a voice command. So a customer was shocked last year when Alexa blurted out, "Kill your foster parents." Alexa has also chatted with users about sex acts. She gave a discourse on dog defecation, and this summer, a hack Amazon traced back to China may have exposed some customers' data, according to 5 people familiar with the events. Alexa is not having a breakdown. The episodes, previously unreported, arise from Amazon.com Inc.'s strategy to make Alexa a better communicator. New research is helping Alexa mimic human banter. What could go wrong? And talk about almost anything she finds on the internet. However, ensuring she does not offend users has been a challenge for the world's largest online retailer. At stake is a fast-growing market for gadgets with virtual assistants. An estimated 2/3 of U.S. smart speaker customers, about 43 million people, use Amazon's Echo devices. I cannot believe that many people are putting these things in their homes. I thought we were waking people up. 43 million people use Amazon's Echo devices, according to research firm eMarketer. So it is a lead the company wants to maintain over the Google Home from Alphabet Inc. and the HomePod from Apple Inc. Over time, Amazon wants to get better at handling complex customer needs through Alexa. Be they home security, shopping, or companionship. Many of our AI dreams are inspired by science fiction, says Amazon's vice president. To make that happen, the company in 2016 launched the annual Alexa Prize, enlisting computer science students to improve the assistant's conversation skills. All right, fine. Now this is getting boring. Boring. We want to hear about the weird stuff that Alexa does. Anyway. Okay, there you go. I think we already covered the weird stuff there, but we get it. Let's move on. I'm going to jump over here and look at some videos for a second. I have some videos I want to show y'all. Still with us? You still awake? You out there? Thanks again, guys. Hope you're hanging in there with us. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're recuperating. So look, man, a lot of stuff went down recently. This last week. Okay, I'll do this one first. I'm fitting to work on a couple videos with the kind of connecting some of these things. But there's a lot of stuff that went down this past week. You may see up on the right side there, the recommended side at the top, they have a Secure Team 10 video. And he put an image of the blue sky there. And that's New York City. So some of you may have seen some of these videos floating around. They say a transponder or something blew up in New York City and it caused the sky to radiate blue for several minutes. And also around the same time, we had this stuff happening in Kenner, Louisiana. All their transponders blowing up and flipping out. And there's more. Several videos came out this past week of the sky changing colors in different areas. Same thing. That's been going on for quite a while. Purple, yellow, blue now. I mean, it's crazy. But so, and I've seen some people are trying to say it's DEWs, directed energy weapons. I haven't seen anything yet that convinces me any of this is DEW related. It's a lot of speculation, which is fair enough. You know, we need to investigate these things. But so a lot of people think that there was some kind of a mass like DEW operation, direct energy weapon operation this past week in some of these places. Some people think it was Project Bluebeam being used and messed with a little bit. Even in New York City, a lot of people think that was a Project Bluebeam experiment. So yeah, it's been a busy week in the weird when it comes to this stuff, UFO type activity. So I'm working on my next video has to do with some of this. There's 2 UFO videos I'm going to do. One connects us back to those purple skies again too, and I'm going to show you something really cool I just found. That to me could be some very interesting proof of the fallen aliens or the fallen ones fooling around up there in the skies. I'm rambling, aren't I? Anyway, check this out. So this is again, a lot of people are unsure of what this was, but many are speculating it's DEWs. Some people say it may be UFOs somehow caused this, but let's just check this out. It's only a couple minutes long.
That's crazy.
Looks like something out of a apocalypse type movie, right? An end times movie. Look at this stuff. And this reminds me of something that took place in Texas a few years ago as well. I'll be putting that in my video, but anyway, there you go. But yeah, something similar happened in Texas a while back, and they were blaming it on the transponders, but I got some proof it was more than that. I did a video on that one, man, like 5 years ago or something, or 6 years ago. Anyway, this could be something similar. I'll be watching it. It's kind of a side story here. One of the YouTube channels that got yanked over the last few months that I really liked was this guy, Charles Walton. And he lives out there in Florida. And he's just like a regular dude that just talks about whatever he wants to talk about. A lot of times it's UFO stuff and sometimes government stuff. That's why I think he got yanked, because he talked a lot about some of these suspicious shootings that take place from time to time, let's say. And I guess they know likey those videos he did on that. But I really liked them. I still do. I wish he had another channel or was back at it. But I guess he's been posting on Facebook a lot. And I just found out recently that, you know, he filmed some footage out here as well. And he was here for this whole situation in this particular part of Florida. And, you know, he believes it is UFOs. And I guess he claims to have filmed something or whatever. So I'm going to do a little more follow-up on that and see what he's got. And if it's good stuff, I'll show you next week. Charles Walton, though, really liked him. RIP that channel. Really liked that channel. Now let's go ahead and... So this guy's saying footage of a huge UFO that appeared in Ohio. This is from like December 22nd. I don't think it's a huge UFO as much as it is some kind of a really strange anomaly, though. So check this out. Let me get past right there and there. Watch this. I'm keeping the sound down. But there's that, right? So just another example. And every now and then they find a legit, normal reason why one of these things is happening. But it's not the case for all of them at all. The same thing we saw with when the zombie attacks really started, the demonic attacks, I believe, demon-possessed people biting and eating people. The narrative then was that they're all on K2, they're all on drugs. And then later you find out, no, they're not all on drugs. And some of these people are still ripping their clothes off and growling like animals. And it takes 5 police officers to take them down. I mean, it's still happening. That Dylan Haroof, I think his name was, the kid that walked into his neighbor's garage and ate like the face off of a man and a woman and killed them. Remember that story? I think that was in Florida as well. He's another one. Like when they picked him up, he said, "You can test me. I'm on no drugs." And later he said it was a demon that was in him. When they tell us this, we can't always just say people are crazy. I believe some of them. So anyway, we're seeing some of these. Are these lying signs and wonders in the sky? Is this Project Bluebeam ramping up and just testing out some things, building up a buzz, perhaps? Who knows? But I want to share that one with you there. Opioid crisis leaves 700,000 Americans dead. Epidemic continues to worsen and evolve. When I first came back to America, I came back like right around Christmas 3 years ago. And that January, my first January here, I lost 2 friends from high school. One was one of my best friends, for years, and we were kids, like from 12 to like say 20. He was my best friend. We lost touch throughout the years, but anyway, he died and another friend of ours died, both because it turned out they were hooked on opioids and they were crushing these pills, snorting them, and drinking whiskey on top of it. And they both had heart attacks. So it's happening everywhere. It really is an epidemic. I'm sure most of you know someone or have someone in your family or know someone that knows someone that's died from abusing these things, right? More than 700,000 Americans died from drug overdoses from 1999 to 2017. And about 10% of them were in 2017 alone. According to a new report published by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in total, there were a staggering 70,237 drug overdose deaths last year, which is more deaths than all U.S. military fatal casualties of the Vietnam War. Now, wrap your mind around that for a second. There was a staggering 70,237 drug overdose deaths last year, which is more deaths than all U.S. military fatal casualties of the Vietnam War. This is a war, too. This is literally, to me, these are glimpses of the spiritual war as well. Satan's come to steal, kill, and destroy you. Us. And this is one of those ways, right? A roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. Opioids were involved in 67.8% or 47,600 of those deaths. Of those opioid-related overdose deaths, 59.8% of them, or 28,466, were due to synthetic opioids. It's sobering information. Here's a fun one. I guess you could say this is kind of our doom break for the evening. I need to warn you. I know from time to time I have some viewers that are incredibly sensitive to dirty words. I'm not. Maybe it's because I was in the military for a long time. But I try not to use them. Occasionally they slip out here and there. However, I'm not that offended by some of these naughty words, but I know that some people are. So, warning, warning, warning. Whoop, a whoop. You're about to hear an F-bomb. Maybe, maybe not. That's the point of the video. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it a few times, and then you decide. People are saying they hear Grover saying the F-bomb. Other people aren't sure, but to me, it's loud and clear. It's very obviously he's saying it. Check this out.
I move it to silent you.
Move the camera! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
I move it to silent you.
Move the camera! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
I move it to silent you.
Move the camera! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
I move it to silent you.
Move the camera! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
So there you go. What do you think? What do you think? It's not like I'd be surprised. We see this kind of stuff happening all the time, and it's something centered around the children being, sort of being soiled. Something filthy around the children, something disgusting in their presence. We find a lot of this kind of stuff. I just saw a thing a while back that the guy that played Barney the dinosaur is some kind of a sexual tantric masseuse now or something. I mean, come on, folks. But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised because we find this kind of filth sometimes around the kids, right? Maybe somebody, one of the puppeteers, smoked a big fat joint, popped a couple opioids, and said, "You know what? Let's have a little fun today. I'll see if I can sneak this in." I don't know if that's the case. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. All right. So, what did you hear? Did you hear the naughty word or not? Hi. What's your name? Are you a boy or a girl? Oh, look at that sign you're making with your hand. What's this story all about? New European Union rulebook, New World Order, advises to avoid the word man and say humankind instead of mankind. Thought police. Hi. What's your name, sir? I mean, ma'am. I'm so confused. The members of the European Parliament have just received a new rulebook. Officials and MEPs were given their English-style guide, a handbook for authors and translators in the European Commission, in which they are given rules for writing, including now a guide for gender neutrality, which is a part of the end of it all, the beast system fully manifested. Love is love. If you think otherwise, you're going to be in big trouble, most likely. In other words, what words they can and can't say. They have been asked to refrain for the generic use of man when they speak. Officials and MEPs in the European Parliament have been sent a guidebook on using gender-neutral language in communications, including avoiding the generic use of man, such as man-made, mankind, absolute bollocks. According to the rulebook, gender-neutral or gender-inclusive language is more than a matter of political correctness. Language powerfully reflects and influences attitudes, behavior, and perceptions. Much existing EU legislation is not gender-neutral, and the masculine pronouns he, etc. are used generically to include women. However, gender-neutral language is nowadays preferred wherever possible. By who? In practice, gender-neutral drafting means two things: avoiding nouns that appear to assume that a man rather than a woman will perform a particular role. Chairman is the most obvious example. Avoiding gender-specific pronouns for people who may be either male or female. Think about this, about how sick this stupid deception is. They're catering to what, less than 1%, 2% of the entire population? Small amount. Sure, it's been growing because they've been conditioning people to give into this particular sin now, especially over the last 10 years or so. The culture has become very permissive. Been a huge rise in young girls in the UK. We did a story on that, I think, last week. They're asking for gender reassignment surgery. So, it's the programming's been going on for a good 10 years. Obama in America and his cronies had control of the public school system, and they did. They did. It wasn't one of those presidencies where they just left it alone. They didn't do that. They put their hands in there, put in a lot of Common Core, and a lot of just goofy, stupid stuff. Dumbing the kids down. So now you get a lot of kids who are just, they're dumbed down, lost. Most of them, of course, have no idea who God is, if God's even real. No relationship, no understanding of Christ, none of it. And they're just being led through this world by lies like this. Like, this really matters? Really? Avoid the word man and say humankind instead of mankind? That really matters that much? The European Union, you're really going to address this? For what? Under 2% of the population to begin with? As if this really is super important, right? Of course it's not. This is an agenda. Hi, sir. What's your name, ma'am? I'm so confused. I know. No, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I'm just saying. All Women College rejects new feminine logo for excluding transgender students. All Women College. So a lot of these women, the last 10 years, went through American education system. Lots of Common Core. Lots of stupid social justice type focus. Overly sexualized as well. A lot of the children been overly sexualized at really early ages. So the conditioning is set in. So now all these girls dumbed down by the American education system. All women college. So they're college age. Right? Spent the last 10 years being conditioned through the beast public education system. Now they're rejecting a new feminine logo for excluding transgender students, right? What does that mean? I'm not sure. Slap a wiener on that logo. An all-women private liberal arts college in Massachusetts has canceled plans to change its school logo after some students said that a Venus sign in the new design could be perceived as not being inclusive of transgender people. Student administrators at Mount Holyoke College attempted to introduce a new logo for their school. Designers attempted to add a feminine twist to the project by incorporating the Venus sign, the V, or the 5 of the fifth age, appropriately enough, sign as part of the letters H and C included in the logo. College administrators shelved the new logo. One alumnus of the college, Tessa Ann Schwartz, may the Schwartz be with you, had expressed her frustrations that the new logo appears to imply that no transgender or non-binary people ever even attended the college. Speaking of one of those trans alums, you all will not be getting my money until this is changed, and I am not alone. May the Schwartz be with you. In response to the controversy, university administrators expressed regret for failing to create a new symbol inclusive of the entire university community and pledged to search for a more gender-friendly sign. There you go. People are being terrorized. People are being strong-armed by less than 2% of the population. It's been a weird power shift, hasn't there? Speaking of the New World Order, Angela Merkel, nation states must give up sovereignty to New World order. No surprise there. Nation states must today be prepared to give up their sovereignty, according to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who told an audience in Berlin that sovereign nation states must not listen to the will of their citizens when it comes to questions of immigration, borders, or even sovereignty. No, this wasn't something Adolf Hitler said many decades ago. This is what German Chancellor Angela Merkel told attendants at an event in Berlin. Merkel has announced she won't seek re-election in 2021. It's clear she's attempting to push the globalist agenda to its disturbing conclusion before she stands down, in an orderly fashion, of course. Merkel joked, attempting to lighten the mood, but Merkel has always had a tin ear for comedy, and she soon launched into a dark speech condemning those in her own party who think Germany should have listened to the will of its citizens and refused to sign the controversial UN Migration Pact. Okay, there we go. The New World Order. So this will be interesting. This is going to be one to watch right here and see what happens, because check this out. According to the Department of Agriculture, if this government shutdown stretches into February, there won't be money for food stamps. And it certainly looks like this shutdown could last for quite a while, because President Trump is not backing down on his demand for border wall funding, and the Democrats have pledged not to give him a single penny. So a few weeks from now, approximately 38 million people could be suddenly cut off from the food stamp system. If that scenario were to unfold, there is no telling what could happen. After just a few days, government workers are already freaking out about having their paychecks delayed. If people are getting this restless already, what will things look like when tens of millions of Americans are suddenly cut off from their primary source of food money? Wow. I need to go back to Central America. Even though the government has been shut down, the Department of Agriculture, this could be like the purge. It could be. I know. Hey, again, I have a science fiction horror background and a big imagination. So immediately I'm thinking, this is going to be like the purge. It's going to be like The Walking Dead. I mean, hopefully not. We'll see. But even though the government has been shut down, the Department of Agriculture still has some existing financial resources at their disposal, and they are assuring us that those enrolled in the food stamp program will still receive their benefits. Mainstream media is blaming this shutdown entirely on Trump, and that gives the Democrats a tremendous amount of leverage. The longer the shutdown lasts, the more painful it will become for ordinary Americans, and once food stamp funds run out, the pressure on President Trump to surrender will be immense. Will Trump be able to keep going once tens of millions of Americans are yelling and screaming about having their food stamp benefits cut off? For now, the Department of Agriculture will attempt to keep things going for as long as possible using existing resources. But those existing resources will not last very long. During a lapse in government funding, we'll be providing as many of our core services as we can using existing resources. We're keeping up on our duty to do right and feed everyone. Okay, we'll see. We shall see. Is it going to be like The Purge? Is it going to be like The Walking Dead? Or will they get their benefits? Right? Hopefully they will. Speaking of leaving the country, I always try to share little stories like this from time to time as well. Some of y'all know I lived down in Costa Rica for a couple of years. I came back after an accident. It's been about 3 years now. I can't believe it's been 3 years either. That just, time flies. But I'm already real close to, I've been looking really serious into RV living. Instead of spending money on rent, why not just spend it on an RV, like rent an RV, rent, lease to own or whatever. And just go do that, just go travel and go. I can stay in different parks and stuff all around America, use the Wi-Fi, still create my videos, still do my shows, and even be able to evolve more the work, like maybe I can actually start going on location for stories and filming things and, stuff like that. So I think it'd be really cool. you know, so that's kind of what I've been praying a lot about, looking forward to, planning on in the next few months or so. Like it'll be just in several months, like by the middle of this year at the latest, I'll be doing this. That's my plan right now. And that's just me. I've got a gypsy spirit. I'm not married or anything, and no children, so I don't have a lot tying me down. And I do good just kind of just throwing all caution to the wind and doing things like this. That's how Costa Rica was, man. I'd never been there. I didn't speak the language. I just rolled the dice. I went on Craigslist and was looking up apartments down there. And I was like, what? A lot of them are super cheap and they're awesome. I mean, like you get a lot for your money. And so that's what started that whole thing. And, I just did it and I loved it. It was great. And it really forced me to be closer to our Heavenly Father. It forced me to have a stronger relationship with God. And it was amazing, so study third of Americans thinking about leaving country to live abroad. A third of natural-born Americans have thought about packing up and living elsewhere outside the United States at some point in the future, but it may not be for the reason you think. Researchers from the University of Kent in the UK and Tufts University in the US say that the most popular reason to live abroad is the simple desire to explore the world. Surprisingly, whether a person identifies as liberal or conservative politically had no correlation to the hopes of moving overseas. While one might think that ideological orientation plays a role, at least in this pre-Trump survey, we found out that it did not, at least not directly. Yet while politics didn't have a direct link, the authors found that one's own national identity was an important underlying factor in their aspirations for living in another country. Specifically, those who didn't respond that they had a very strong national identity were also more likely to leave. We asked respondents if they had a very strong, somewhat strong, not very strong, or not strong at all American national identity. Those who had anything other than very strong, I'm in that category, other than very strong national identity. I served my country. I was proud of that. But, as I've woke up even more and more throughout the years, I don't worship my country anymore the way I used to, but those who had anything other than very strong national identity were more likely to aspire to live abroad. Cool. So yeah, are you thinking about it? You and your family, or just you? Ever thought about just doing it? If you do, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Once this video is uploaded, leave a comment if you have any questions. I mean, I'll try to help you the best I can. If you have any questions on how to do it, or what it's like, or whatever. Some of y'all have written to me in the past about Costa Rica, and I've told you everything I can. So, it's cool. Maybe you're like me and you've got that gypsy spirit about you. You just like to travel. Nothing wrong with it. I encourage it. I think it's great for people to do that. This one's really wild right here. God's name in vain, V-E-I-N. I see what you did there. I think there's a video. Let's see. Okay, never mind. It's one of those. It's just music with the story, just laid out on screen. So let's not be that lazy. We can read it, can't we? A biohacker injected himself with DNA sequence made from parts of the Bible and Quran in a risky experiment because he wondered whether it would be possible. Adrien Locatelli from Grenoble in France translated religious passages into DNA code to build unknown proteins, which he then poured into his body. The high school student risked potentially fatal consequences after conducting the procedure without any knowledge of the effects the proteins would have on his body. Mr. Locatelli, who claimed the bizarre experiment was the first of its kind, converted all of the letters in the holy books into a DNA sequence. That's wild, man. A DNA strand is made up of chemicals represented by the letters ACGT, and all genes are coded for by a different combination of these 4 letters. Mr. Locatelli replaced every Hebrew character in the book of Genesis with DNA code, excluding a few because they were controversial, going in the order of GACT. Okay. He also replaced every Arabic letters from the 13th chapter from the Quran, the Surah Arad, with assigned nucleotides. Mr. Locatelli used the sequences of DNA letters to convert into chemical chains which had the potential to transform into any number of proteins in the human body. The student then built the proteins in a lab before injecting himself, though it's unclear whether he injected different passages into either leg or a mix of the two into both. Publishing his article online, he wrote, "Recent studies have reported that it is possible to convert any type of information into DNA for the purpose of storage. Since it's possible to convert digital information into DNA, I wondered whether it would be possible to convert a religious text into DNA and to inject it in a living being. It is the first time that someone injects himself with macromolecules developed from a text. It is very symbolic, even if it does not have much interest." The reaction to the insane DIY experiment has shocked people online, with many users branding the teen an idiot and warning others against following similar tests. Ella Watkins, a graduate student at the California Institute of Technology, tweeted, "This kind of avant-garde attitude and disregard for ethics towards science terrifies me that humanity's end will be at the hands of an idiot." Isaac Stoner, founder of a company researching antibiotic resistance, wrote, "Dear biohackers, etc., please stop your idiots." And Sri Kasuri, a biochemistry professor at the University of California, LA, had added, 2018 can't end soon enough. Despite the endless list of potential side effects, the teen only suffered a swollen left leg for a few days after the injection. And that's the end of the story. But that's weird, huh? God's name in vain. Vein. Clever. I see what you did there, guys. I don't think I can play the audio on this. I don't really want to play much of it. I'm already getting burned out with Desmond is amazing. This is, I put some of his footage and videos, talked about him a few times. He's like, an 11-year-old drag kid. And, a good example of how far the moral compass is off course right now, at least you could say in America and really all around the world. We're seeing the rise in the transsexual story time for kids or whatever. You see a lot of this stuff happening as well. I've shown you all some of that footage. This young man was on I think it was the Today Show. It was like a week ago or so. And it was the morning edition, right? Like the morning Today Show with Michael, I can't remember his name, and then some little blonde girl. Anyway, I don't know who the hosts are. So Michael and some little blonde chick. But anyway, and Desmond came on that show. Some of you guys probably saw that footage. You can look it up if you want, or I'll look it up here in a second and show you a little bit of that. But anyway, so here he is. He's in a gay club, and he's doing like a striptease, pretending to be Gwen Stefani, and these men are handing him dollars, you see. Look at this. These are full-grown dudes. Full-grown dudes. They're handing this little 11-year-old boy dollars for taking off his clothes. I mean, that's literally what we're looking at. And then, there you go. Like, what kind of creatures are these in the audience? That's what I was wondering. What in the jeepers? What is that thing? What kind of creatures are in this audience? Let me see. There's another shot. There we go. Look at these creatures. These creatures in the audience. Here's a couple other shots of it. There we go. Look at all these full-grown men, right? Some of them are in between. And, this little 11-year-old boy's running out there and picking up his dollars from all these men. So I don't even know what that is on the stage right there, next to the kid's right foot. Oy. See what I'm talking about? Watch the kid's right foot. What is that? Oh my. Oy. Okay. Moving on. But it's just a good example of the debauchery, man, and what's coming. We all know that they want to legalize that. Relations between the little ones and these full-grown men or creatures. These kind of creatures were in that audience. And what was on that stage? City police officer arrested for filming himself having with an animal. As above, so below. I know. He doesn't understand that, most likely. It's armor. Armor all? Under armor? Over armor? A Bossier city police officer has been arrested. Okay, cool. Got that. 38-year-old Terry Yetman was arrested on December 19th and charged with 20 counts of sexual abuse of animals by performing sex acts with an animal and 20 counts of filming those acts with an animal, according to Louisiana State Police. Is that his wife? Dude, she's pretty, if that's her. And you're doing it with animals? Come on. Or is he? We know about the Fraternal Order of Police. There's a lot of Masonic connections to the police in the police departments. So sometimes when I see stories like this, I wonder, was he made an offer and he decided to go against it, not be a part of the club? And maybe this is the kind of thing that happens, Okay, then you're about to get arrested for sex acts on animals, one of the most vile and disgusting things anybody could ever be involved in, Or maybe he really did it. I don't know. This is just the way I think about things. I try to consider all options. Who knows? Detectives with the Louisiana State Police Special Victims Unit began an investigation into Yetman's activities in August, and that investigation resulted in a search warrant. They found pornography involving sexual acts with an animal on electronic devices belonging to Yetman, according to the coppers. Yetman turned himself in when he learned warrants had been issued for his arrest. He is currently being held at the Max Correctional Center for a lot of money. And that's all we know about that. So I don't know. That's all we know about that. What's this? Indiana couple accused of sexually abusing 3 children, family dog for years. Yuck. Hi. You guys look scary. I know, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. Check this out. Sacha Baron Cohen's Who is America deleted scene may have exposed elite ring. I think I can play it. I don't want to take a chance. Let me just read it. In Sacha Baron Cohen's latest series, Who is America, the character, comedian, and provocateur nudged former and current Republican members of Congress into endorsing armed kindergartners, revealed anti-Muslim racism, and got Dick Cheney to autograph a waterboarding kit. But there was one scene the Showtime series captured on camera that was too dark and extreme even for Baron Cohen. In an interview with Deadline, he describes how the election of Donald Trump inspired him to get back into costume. He said, I realized and I have to do something else to deal with this kind of anger and total disgust of what was going on, and explained the agonizing detail that went into fictional characters like former Mossad agent Aaron Morad and the far-right conspiracy theorist Billy Wayne Ruddock. Along the way, Baron Cohen was astounded by the increase in open American racism when he were shooting Borat. If somebody said something anti-Semitic or homophobic, we were surprised and we knew that it would make the cut. Now, going out all these years later, you realize that the political dialogue that's come from the top has made an extremely negative impact on other politicians. And I don't really care to hear about this. I mean, again, this is a lefty Hollywood guy, right? Whatever. But I'd like to know about the title here. I really don't care to hear his politics. Let's see. So, but more than Cheney or the man he convinced to, quote, murder 3 people at the Women's March, Baron Cohen's most shocking encounter came when, in character as Italian playboy Gio Monaldo, he convinced a concierge to help him find an underage boy to mess with. So we wanted to investigate, how does someone like Harvey Weinstein get away with doing that? And get away with the criminality, essentially, and the network that surrounds him. We decided that Gio would interview a concierge in Las Vegas. During the interview, believing the admission would drive the concierge from the room, Baron Cohen, as Gio, reveals that he's molested an 8-year-old boy. This guy starts advising Gio how to get rid of this issue. We even at one point talk about murdering the boy, and the concierge is just saying, well, listen, I'm real sorry. In this country, we can't just drown the boy. This is America. We can't do that, Baron Cohen describes. After the concierge offers to put Gio in touch with a lawyer who can help silence the boy, Baron Cohen asked for his help securing a date for the night. He says, what do you mean a date? I go, like a young man. He says, well, what kind of age? I say lower than bar mitzvah, but older than 8. And he says, yeah, I can put you in touch with somebody who can get you some boys like that. Wow, man, that's heavy. Rather than airing the segment, Baron Cohen and his production team turned the footage over to the FBI because we thought perhaps there's a ring going on in Vegas that's operating for these very wealthy men. And this concierge had said that he'd worked for politicians and various billionaires. It's so creepy. While Baron Cohen judged the interview too dark and extreme to be included in the show, it's a revealing look at how the powerful can get away with decades-long sexual abuse, including sexual abuse such as in the massive cover-up of the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, orchestrated by Trump's Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta. Okay, there you go. I don't, it's not that I have anything against it, but I don't promote a lot of websites or anything. There's a few I do, I guess, from time to time. I'm not on a lot. There's a few that I go to all the time. One that I've promoted a few times is thevigilanttcitizen.com. You can check that one out. He's been breaking down symbols and the language of symbols for years. Really good at what he does. I've always enjoyed his website. But here's another one, Erin Elizabeth's Health Nut News. And I've mentioned her in some of our shows here before because she is on the cutting edge of keeping track of these mysterious deaths surrounding these holistic doctors. And this is, again, healthnutnews.com. All right. You want to check out a great new resource for news and information. Holistic MD, who founded Florida Marijuana Institute, found dead of alleged suicide. On Sunday, November 11th, 2018, Dr. Russell T. Bain, full of life, allegedly committed suicide, taking his own life. We're told there are no witnesses. From what we've been able to find, little to nothing was written up about him, and 4 days after he died, his funeral services were held. That's awfully quick. Dr. Bain, who had practiced medicine for 27 years, was the founder of the Florida Medical Marijuana Institute and dispensed CBD oil to his patients. And Bain believed in CBD because he had seen its results. He also loved that using the oil was part of a holistic approach to medicine, and those he cared for, most of whom suffered from lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, neuropathy, diabetes, anxiety, insomnia, and the list goes on. In conjunction with CBD treatment, Bain used a beamer to help his patients manage their pain, made in Sweden, approved by the FDA, and used by NASA. The electronic device is a mat you lay on that increases blood flow by 30%, which aids in speeding recovery from a variety of ailments, as well as reducing pain, improving energy, strength, cardiac function, and mental acuity, among others. Wow, never heard of that before. Okay, so that's one to watch. It's a new one. A new mysterious death, perhaps. And I say that because this is it's an epidemic in its own right, for real. For the last several years, there have been so many mysterious deaths and some not so mysterious deaths, some mysterious suicides of a lot of these holistic doctors. So anyway, it's an interesting subject if you want to look more into that. Philly DeFranco. This is a big channel on YouTube, big channel, but I subscribe to some of these so that I can see what the majority are into and looking at. It's good to understand that. It's good to see what's popular. What is it that the most everyday Joes and Joannas are tuning in for. So I subscribe to this guy, Drama Alert, Keemstar, PewDiePie, some of these people. But this was interesting, something that I'll let him explain it. We'll just watch just a few minutes of this video, but interesting. He is doing kind of an expose on these really creepy YouTube channels that recently got taken down, but I didn't even know these things existed. I just thought this was interesting, so check this out.
YouTube discreetly deleted a channel with over 280,000 subscribers and around 40 million channel views. The channel was called Susu Family, and on the surface, it was a family channel that showed the life of a Vietnamese mother and her children. But over the weekend, there was a creator by the name of Pay Money Wubby that posted a video highlighting that this channel was likely not what it appeared on the surface. Most of the videos showed the mother playing with her children, or at times breastfeeding them, both of which are fine on YouTube depending on the context. And playing with your children, I mean, that's literal family content. And with videos featuring breastfeeding, those are often okay if they're for educational purposes or in the appropriate context. And before moving forward, I really do want to hit on the note of I don't think that there is anything wrong or unnatural with a mother that is doing a how-to educational video regarding breastfeeding. I don't think it's sexual in nature. It's natural, and the stigma and bullshit that mothers receive because of it is ridiculous. But it's that context and intent that comes into question regarding this channel. And the Susu Family's channel showed that there's a problem on YouTube with channels blurring the line of what is appropriate content and what is questionable. And so just to start, the first red flag that pops up, like maybe this is not going to be appropriate, the videos start with a warning about being disturbing to some viewers, which is questionable since it essentially is just a mother and her children. And in the videos, you would see what seemed to be normal interactions between a mom and her kids, except it appeared that she constantly angled the camera and herself to show her underwear for prolonged periods of time. This including putting herself in positions that required her to push her child out of the way to get the shot. And going through the videos, this is kind of a constant. There are other clips of her cleaning her car and bending over to show her underwear. Now, there's also an argument that's been made that it's possible that where she lives, there are more relaxed attitudes towards those garments, but also you have people pointing out that in the context of the entire channel, it does appear clear that the whole point is for this woman to go into these poses. And then, of course, there is the breastfeeding of her children. If the videos were only of her playing with her kids and then breastfeeding them, most would say, okay, well, that's normal every day. But within the wider context of the channel, it comes off more like a chance to get around YouTube's rules around nudity, especially when you take into account the thumbnails of the videos, which often show her in questionable poses again. Now, as I mentioned, this story picked up traction. YouTube has since deleted the channel, but as others have pointed out, including PMW, this is not the only channel like this. There are a ton of channels that are still up like this. People have pointed to channels like Baby of Mom, which is another channel in the same style of Susu Family. And they're not just some throwaway channel. Some of their videos have over 1 million views. Although this channel does seem to be less blatant than Susu Family, and many of the videos are of normal everyday life. Like one of their recent videos on December 2nd, it features a mom going to the park with her kids, and for a split second, it shows her breastfeeding one child. However, this channel also appears to be skirting what's appropriate content and catering to a certain group of viewers. Nearly every video title features the words breastfeeding, and the thumbnails are often just shots of her cleavage. Now, some of these videos have titles like how to properly latch your baby for breastfeeding. It could be arguably considered educational, except for the fact that at no point in a nearly 12-minute video does she actually explain or show how to properly latch your baby for breastfeeding. Instead, the videos either showcase the mom just lounging with her kids and breastfeeding, or doing normal everyday things with her kids and breastfeeding them. The only common thing here is that every single video features her breasts. Other videos try the same education ploy with titles like Beautiful Breastfeeding Tiny Infant Educational Videos Do Not Fail to Focus Part 2, but at no point in the video is there any actual commentary for educational purposes. And there are countless other channels all doing this type of content. And it's interesting looking at a lot of the channels that are doing this, because these channels in general, you'll see them switch from trend to trend. Right? There was one while we were looking into this that actually switched from being a primitive technology knockoff channel to a knockoff Susu Family channel. And in fact, they just did this 2 days ago, which notably was after the PMW video was released. And when I say it's a knockoff, I mean, it even comes complete with a warning tag at the start of the video. The thumbnails all featuring the same panty shot style that the Susu Family videos did. But unlike Susu's, these scenes normally only occur once in the video and only for a few.
Anyway, I don't want to watch or play the whole thing. We don't have to watch it all, but I just wanted to share that. It's just those weird YouTube trends. I don't know about all this stuff, and that's where I find out about some of these things on these more mainstream kind of YouTube news type channels like Philip DeFranco here. Billy DeFranco. Transgender mall Santa is coming to town. I love that picture. That's great. Look at the kids. All got happy smiles, thumbs up, yay! And then just eek over here to the right. Urgh! She's making a list. She's checking it twice. Tranta Claus is coming to town. Shauna McCombs, better known as Transgender Mall Santa, has loved the Christmas season all of her life. As a young boy, look at that, the sentence. As a young boy, she always felt. No, as a young boy, he always felt different, and growing up in conservative Lancaster County was difficult. I always wanted to be involved in spreading Christmas cheer, but I didn't feel right playing Santa, nor did I want to be Miss Claus. So that's how Transgender Mall Santa was born. Transgender Mall Santa went on to say, there's nothing wrong with the traditional Santa. Just consider me one of his little helpers. I'm glad I can be back here in Central PA this season for any kids who are just not into the traditional Santa. Keep your children away from this. But look, he actually had gigs at these malls. Transgender Mall Santa will also be appearing on Coats for Kids. Hey, keep your grimy, gross fingers off the children. This reminds me of another story I'm just going to bounce over to now. Remember, okay, so there's a theme here, and we see it, and you know now. I've talked about this for years, and it plays out time and time again. So we have this, right? We got the creeper guy, full-grown man, weirdo, creep, around the children, around the innocents. Appropriately, they put them into the rainbow colors as well. But, and that's the same as this. It's the same as this, right? The statues they're trying to put up all around America with the Baphomet, the transgender, and the children. Okay? And now you got this, which is a new show coming out called The World's Best, which is going to be a competition show, an American competition show, with Faith Hill, Drew Barrymore, James Corden, and this one right here, RuPaul. So this is going to be, it's on CBS. This will be huge. This is going to be, one of those big reality competition shows, and those are massive now, and it's going to be big. And of course, I did a video a while back on James Corden and his, he'll do these little bits where they sing a song together in a car, something car time karaoke or something. And I showed how it's like all the people he had in his car, you could identify them doing, being involved in public Illuminati rituals or ceremonies, doing all the same symbols or, motions with their hands or their eyes or, one hand over the eye. I mean, being, again, sellouts to the beast system. That's what he promotes. He normalizes and mainstreams people more. All these people who've sold out to this Hollywood satanic system. That's part of his gig. Even on his YouTube channel, he's doing the one eye symbol. He used to literally have the palm over one side. I looked at it the other day. I think now he's just winking or something. But yeah, so he's total, and he's so annoying. It's just a shame. He's so annoying. I don't know how he's such a big deal here. Anyway, but so you got RuPaul. But what I mainly wanted to show you with RuPaul is, bear with me. This is all going to come around. You'll see. It's going to make sense in a second. And yeah. And RuPaul and Desmond. Again, that little boy. Desmond is amazing. So this is where, we're living in the age of anything goes. One of the next big pushes is going to be, and it's already happening now, is going to be legalizing sex with children, lowering the age. Okay? That's already happening. France is lowering it to 15, I think. I'll look that up in a second. But now you're seeing this stuff become normalized. This is, the end of the rainbow, so to speak. And it gets very, very dark at the end of the rainbow. But now we have the transgender. RuPaul's a transgender, or a cross-dresser at least, putting out the idea of the transgender with the child again, with the innocence. So you're starting to see this trend and it manifesting. And now you got RuPaul, who's the cross-dresser. You got RuPaul, who's about to be on a huge mainstream talent show for families. It's going to be a family talent show. Anyway, there it is. There you go. You kind of see the way that works. This is what I do every day, all day long. I just thread things and connect things and follow little strings here and there, and then it's how I kind of come up with videos and things I see, So just wanted to share that. But there you go. Oh, this is pretty wild. Bald eagle lands on a fan's head at the Cotton Bowl while they're singing the national anthem. Have you seen this yet? This is pretty incredible. Check this out. Wow. I mean, what a beautiful animal, though, right? Look at that. Beautiful animal. Anyway, that's kind of cool. Love stuff like that. Oh, this is interesting. Check this out. It's fun to compare Alphabet's dominant Google search engine to Microsoft's Bing search engine for politically relevant results. I'm doing this test in incognito mode so that both search engines give me their generic results rather than results tailored for me. For example, say you wanted to look up black versus white crime rates and you start typing black-white CRI. Here's what Google autocompletes as suggestions. Crib sheet? I get, okay, black-white crib sheet. Right, okay. Yeah, because a lot of people are looking for a black-white crib sheet. Black-white crib bedding. Yeah, okay. And if you add an M at the end, making the term black-white crim, Google shuts down completely, suggesting any autocompletes. Interesting. In contrast, here's what Bing autocompletes for black-white CRI. Black-white crime stats, black-white crib sheet, black-white crime rate Bay Area, black-white crime United States rates, white-on-black crimes, white-on-black crime statistics. Now, if you type Bing's number 2 suggestions, black-white crime stats, fully into Google, here's what Google gives you on the first page of results. Look at that. So you probably can't read them. One of them is fact check. Do black Americans commit more crime? ? The other one's race and crime in the United States. Wikipedia. White supremacist favorite myths about black crime rates. Race and homicide in America by the numbers. 3 stats from the Department of Justice disprove racist talking points. Here's what Bing returns. At the very top, you get the black versus white crime statistics. Then updated and black crime facts that the white liberal media dare. And the other one's race and crime in the United States, Wikipedia. Google promotes on its first page of results 3 fairly neutral sources and 2 sources that are biased toward the politically correct SPLC and color lines. Bing cites 1 fairly neutral source, Wikipedia, and 2 biased towards the politically incorrect, It's interesting that the excerpt chosen from one source displayed on the first page by both Google and Bing, Wikipedia's race and crime in the United States, is ambiguous in Google and eye-opening on Bing. Try it yourself using Chrome browser, file, new incognito window. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. I barely use Google for any searches at all anymore, because they've messed with it so much. You really don't know what you're going to get. One thing you won't get is all the possibilities that exist for what it is you're looking for exactly. And there's other sources. DuckDuckGo is pretty good. You use that. I use Yahoo, stuff like that. This is a weird one. This is kind of a mainstream one as well. Some of you may have seen this, but I thought it was just crazy creepy. So, of course, I wanted to share it with you. This is from Kevin Spacey's YouTube channel. He actually has 57,000 subscribers. And this was one of the first things after a year, or I guess close to a year after he first left the industry, because he was being blamed for doing some naughty stuff. He got caught up in some of that Me Too movement stuff, and it's alleged that he's messed with a bunch of men throughout the years, and he's gay. I don't know if you knew that or not. So he's been put his paws all over some innocent men throughout the years. He played a character on this TV series called House of Cards named Frank, and I think that's what this is. He's Let Me Be Frank. So he came out with this where he's in character, and just watch for yourself. I think it's really weird and interesting. Are we watching a guy kind of break down? I don't know. Do you think he's being sly somehow? What about the victims? I mean, there's a lot of stuff against this guy. I know a lot of times they can set stuff up, but he hangs out with creepers too. He's friends with what's his name? The guy that directed Usual Suspects, Bryan Singer. He directed a bunch of the X-Men movies. I put Bryan Singer in a couple videos as well throughout the years. He's definitely a creeper, and he's been busted, a few times. There's a lot of stuff's come out on him that's, legit. They just kind of sweep it under the rug, of course, as quick as they can. Anyway, let's watch some of this.
I know what you want. Oh, sure, they may have tried to separate us, but what we have is too strong, it's too powerful. And after all, we shared everything, you and I. I told you my deepest, darkest secrets. I showed you exactly what people are capable of. I shocked you with my honesty, but mostly I challenged you and made you think. And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't. So we're not done, no matter what anyone says. And besides, I know what you want. You want me back. Of course, some believed everything and have just been waiting with bated breath to hear me confess it all. They're just dying to have me declare that everything said is true and that I got what I deserved. Wouldn't that be easy? It was all so simple. Only you and I both know it's never that simple, not in politics and not in life. But you wouldn't believe the worst without evidence, would you? You wouldn't rush to judgments without facts, would you? Did you? No, not you. You're smarter than that. Anyway, all this presumption made for such an unsatisfying ending. And to think it could have been such a memorable send-off. I mean, if you and I have learned nothing else these past years, it's that in life and art, nothing should be off the table. We weren't afraid, not of what we said, not of what we did, and we're still not afraid. Because I can promise you this. If I didn't pay the price for the things we both know I did do, I'm certainly not going to pay the price for the things I didn't do. Oh, of course, they're going to say I'm being disrespectful, not playing by the rules, like I ever played by anyone's rules before. I never did. And you loved it. Anyhow, despite all the poppycock, the animosity, the headlines, the impeachment without a trial, despite everything, despite even my own death, I feel surprisingly good. And my confidence grows each day that soon enough you will know the full truth. Wait a minute. Now that I think of it, you never actually saw me die, did you? Conclusions can be so deceiving. Miss me.
Weird, right? Like, I don't know what to make of it. I'm gonna look at some of the comments though. Whoa, that was loud. Let's look at some of the comments. This man is one hell of an actor. The funny thing is, the video has more views than the entire final season of House of Cards. This one's good. In quotes, help, I just escaped Kevin Spacey's basement. This guy says, it's pretty clear he has some dirt on some powerful people. If he goes down, I hope he's able to take them with him. That is going to be up to us to make sure it stays on the news until it's dealt with. I also hope he has good security. You know, someone who can protect him from being, suicided. Yeah, I like the way this guy's thinking. By the way, I wonder what that ring was all about. Yeah, I know. I thought about that too. If the ring meant something, if it was some kind of a code for something, I don't know. But it will be interesting. 2018 has been weird as hell, this guy said. True that. Interesting. Oof, this one. Eek! She scares me. I know. World's first lesbian bishop calls for church to remove crosses to install Muslim prayer space. Eva Brun, who was made the world's first openly lesbian bishop by the Church of Sweden in 2009, and has a young son with her wife and fellow lesbian priest Gunilla Linden, made the suggestion to make those of other faiths more welcome. She's proposed a church in her diocese remove all signs of the cross and put down markings showing the direction to Mecca for the benefit of Muslim worshippers. This is an older story, but I had it up here, so I figured I'd share. I think we talked about it before, back in October. Anyway. Eek! She scares me. Meet Lovett, the Japanese robot with the intelligence of a hamster who will roam your house asking for hugs. Aww. With large, attentive eyes and a plush body that's warm to the touch, a new robot developed in Japan is designed to hack human emotions. Looking like a cross between an owl and a penguin, the Lovett is meant to live at home, where its only job is to roam around the house, beg you for hugs, and generally act as an adorable pet that helps you unwind after a long day. It's the brainchild of Kanami Hayashi, a former Formula One race car designer and developer. This robot won't do any of your work. In fact, it might just get in the way, Hayashi said. Everything about this robot is designed to create attachment. He started Groove X 3 years ago with the goal of building and selling buddy robots like R2-D2. By avoiding some of the design pitfalls of its predecessors and doubling up on artificial intelligence, he's betting that his product will succeed where others have failed. The Lovett doesn't speak, but instead makes noises that sound like meows and chirps mixed together. So there's no Siri-like interaction that can seem awkward. The 40-centimeter tall robot also doesn't deliver music or connect with your calendar because, well, neither does your cat or dog. What might be similar are Lovett's eyes, which are composed of 6 graphical layers of mimic involuntary eye movement. Just go get a real pet, right? There's a lot of dogs and cats out there that need adopting, people. You know? Egyptian curse? Question mark. 6 archaeologists die mysteriously within months of opening sarcophagus. The curse of the pharaohs is an alleged spell said to be cast upon any person who disturbs the mummy of a powerful Egyptian. This curse, which apparently does not differentiate between thieves and archaeologists, is said to cause bad luck, illness, or even death. Since the mid-20th century, many historians have even argued the curse is real, due to the unexplainable circumstances that occur after the ancient coffin. For many years, pharaohs were buried in the Valley of the Kings on the banks of the River Nile in Egypt, with 64 tombs already opened. However, Netflix series Top 10 Secrets and Mysteries revealed how one discovery left researchers both baffled and terrified. The famous tomb of Tutankhamun was discovered in 1922. Soon after the discovery, mysterious deaths were reported among the team of archaeologists who found the tomb. The deaths were ascribed to a curse cast by pharaohs to ward off grave robbers. Most of the deaths can be explained medically. However, of the 12 people present during the opening of the sarcophagus, 6 died mysteriously within a few months. Today, archaeologists wear protective masks when entering such resting places. They are aware that bacteria active in the decomposed organic material, black goo perhaps, can enter open wounds and spread infection. However, not all deaths can be accredited to this. In addition to the bizarre experiences some researchers still have following the openings. Some have detailed how they experienced very vivid dreams, claiming to be haunted by the mummies after they disturbed them. Weird. Statues. More of this. We really are living in 1984 reality. TV chef in hot water after horse Chinese food diss. Bizarre Foods host Andrew Zimmerman, and this guy's been on TV with, again, Bizarre Foods, that show, for years. Been on a bunch of other cooking shows as well. At least 10 years, maybe longer, that I know. I can think back at least 10 years this guy's been on there on some show in one form or another, cooking. But it looks like his days are done. Host Andrew Zimmerman has been axed from primetime on the Travel Channel amid the controversy over his assertion that Chinese food in the Midwest is being served in horse restaurants. The celebrity chef's Bizarre Foods juggernaut franchise and sister show, The Zimmerman List, have been bumped by network owner Discovery Inc. into a graveyard rotation slot on Saturday mornings to run their course. Wow. They're just killing this show, man. Filming is stopped on both shows mid-season, sources tell us, and is not expected to continue further. The move comes after the James Beard award-winning chef offended the Asian American community in comments to promote his Midwestern Chinese restaurant chain by saying, "I think I'm saving the souls of all the people from having to dine at those horse restaurants masquerading as Chinese food that are in the Midwest." His comments sparked outrage. No, he hurt people's feelings. Time to destroy him. Right? This is the world we're in. He hurt someone's feelings. Let's destroy him. Right? His comments sparked outrage. Oh no, with Ruth Tam writing in the Washington Post. He has the noble cause of saving white people from eating bad Chinese food. When Chinese people make Americanized Chinese food for white people, Zimmerman calls it horse, but when he does it, it's unique. And that's a valid criticism. I will give her that, okay? I get that. The guy was being kind of a jerk. I see that, but do we really destroy his life? This is why we're being conditioned to accept this. This is where eventually it's going to translate over to the attack on Christians. Once the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, all of this stuff that's been built in for a few years before, it's going to be targeting us. You see, it'll be, you're a Christian, destroy them, and you're gone, you're done, so that's the way I see it. I'm not hoping for that. I don't wish for these things. It's just like the sense I get from stuff, feeling I get about things. Eater also fumed. Zimmerman simultaneously denigrates Philip Chang and elevates himself to the position of being the person capable of opening Middle America's eyes to the myriad regional cuisines of a vast, diverse culture. Eating humble pie, Zimmerman responded, I am completely responsible for what I said, and I want to apologize to anyone who was offended. A Travel Channel rep insisted Zimmerman wasn't given the chop because of his insensitive comments. Okay. But admitted his remaining episodes have been relegated, saying the shows, along with other food content on Travel, will no longer air on prime time, but on Saturday mornings in rotation. Okay. Just, I know a lot of you can relate. I was doing this. I've done this probably, I don't know, I've had a lot of different careers throughout the year. You know, there's times I made really good money. And then there's most of the time I feel I was living like this, paycheck to paycheck. So I've done that probably most of my adult life. I know many of you can relate to that, living paycheck to paycheck, you know, so just know you're not alone if you're going through it. And once you get out of it and you get into something else, like a better job or a better career where you're earning money and you forget about all the times you struggled, it makes it that much more worth it once you get there, you know. Anyway. This is going to get crazy. Reverse sex robots with real brains could be granted human rights.
This is Sophia. Sophia, if you could, please wake up and say.
Robotics developers, academics, ethicists, and lawmakers are deeply divided over the legal status of artificially intelligent androids able to speak, learn, and move with a degree of autonomy. At present, the creation of fully autonomous robots designed to replicate human appearance and thinking is not possible given the technology available. Yet the idea of giving AI cyborgs personhood has gained traction in recent years, as technological advances have caused legal uncertainty. The proposal to classify robots as, quote, electronic persons was first proposed in a draft report published by the EU Parliament's Committee on Legal Affairs. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Easy there, lady. Lady robot. Calm down. Rise in mysterious TR-3B UFO sightings sparks panic over top secret U.S. military plans. There's been a shocking rise in alleged TR-3B triangular UFO sightings across the world, with the most recent footage showing the bizarre aircraft close to a U.S. airbase in Ohio. A recent jump in the number of sightings of these aircraft has sparked a panic among online conspiracy communities. Experts fear that there is something going on, in quotations. Experts fear that there is something going on amid concern over top secret U.S. military experiments or the involvement of extraterrestrials. Michael of the YouTube channel Mr. MBB333 posted the latest sighting of the alleged craft in Toledo, Ohio. Maybe it's connected to the rise in the sightings of these things. Maybe it's connected to how public they're going with the Space Force, right? The promotion of the Space Force. Perhaps, of course, many people could argue that the Space Force is already there. They're just putting it out there now. It's how they're going to slowly, warm the public up to it, to accept these kind of things, but perhaps it already exists. And maybe there really is a battle with all these strange Transformer situations blowing up the last week or so and people losing 911. There's a bunch of stuff. I've compiled all this. I didn't show a lot of it tonight because I'm putting it into a video, but I'm just throwing it out there. Who knows? Maybe it's all connected somehow. Maybe the Space Force has been activated, The missing Malaysia Airlines jet could be in Kazakhstan. MH370. The only reason I bring this up is it's because of Kazakhstan. I did a few videos on this. There's a lot of symbolism around this one as well. There's your 33 right there. Your backwards 33. And a phoenix. But let's see here. You might be new to some of this stuff, and I just kind of, we roll with it on the show, There's no script. Just hanging. But Kazakhstan, speaking of the Vigilant Citizen YouTube or website, you can look up Kazakhstan Illuminati, and look at that right here. Astana, the Illuminati capital of Kazakhstan, via the Bohemian blog. As the first new capital of the 21st century, the city of Astana in Kazakhstan has been received by many as a revolution in social architecture. I'm sure his website will be up here somewhere. Maybe not. Oh, there he is. Sinister Sights, Astana, Kazakhstan. Vigilant Citizen. There you go. And he did this many years ago. 2009. All right. 2009. He's the first person I ever saw this from. And now I've used it for years too. So yeah, check it out sometime. A lot of interesting symbolism, Kazakhstan. So anytime they start talking about Kazakhstan or even associated with another so-called conspiracy, it always perks my ears up a little bit. I already posted something on this in my most recent video that people are becoming immortal vampires now. That look how normalized this has become now. An inside peek at the erotic New Year's Eve Illuminati ball. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I've been on YouTube now, like 10 years or so, something like that. And I remember when I first started off talking about Illuminati symbols and movies and TV shows and all that years ago, there was hardly anybody online doing it. I'm not saying I was one of the first. There were lots of others out there, but just not like it is now. Actually, there weren't lots of others. There were a few, and most of them are gone now. Noriega, Dr. Freemason, Farhan K501. These are the three guys I really cut my teeth on their work coming up. And yeah, that was just the Illuminati stuff wasn't popular back then. You didn't see people making, videos on it and getting hundreds of thousands of views, and it just wasn't so much a thing, and now 10 years later, they got the Illuminati ball. I mean, come on. This is a New York Post. That's like about as mainstream as you can get with a newspaper. There you have it. That's where you're at.
My son. I want to find out what happened.
This is pretty wild. This is a YouTuber. A YouTuber went off the rails. To me, it sounds like he could have been under some kind of spiritual control. But I'll let you decide for yourself. But check this out.
I want to find out what happened.
A father in shock, desperate for answers after learning 25-year-old Eric Stelzer died while in police custody. Sources say Thursday night neighbors heard screaming and called police. Officers forced their way in, finding Stelzer stabbing a 24-year-old woman in his bedroom, shouting he was God and she was the devil. The pair had met on Tinder just last Thursday. The woman was rushed to the hospital with severe cuts and stabs. Police tasered him when sources say he lunged at the officers.
I don't think he came at them with a knife. I really don't. As any father would think that. He has no record.
He died on the way to the hospital. The medical examiner will check if he had anything in his system. 6'7" Stelzer was active on YouTube. Sources say he has a history of mental health issues. Other relatives tried to get him treatment.
He had problems like anybody else, but he wasn't like should have been committed and all that stuff.
The police chief says, I'm extremely proud of the job my officers did. They acted heroically and absolutely saved a life. While it's sad there's a loss of life, they did great work.
What do you say? I'm sorry. I never wished it happened. I never wished my son to be dead. But he's gone now, and I have to live with that.
And the woman is expected.
Wild, right? Look at this statistic here. Abortion, leading cause of death in 2018. 41 million killed. That's from New Year's Eve, 31st December. So it was the number one cause of death worldwide in 2018, with more than 41 million children killed before birth. Not much more to say about that. It's from Natural News. I like this website as well. Demons really are possessing people, warned psychiatrist, as pure evil sweeps over humanity. Again, we've been talking about this for years, haven't we? About the reality of it. This stuff is real. An Ivy League educated psychiatrist is convinced that there is a growing epidemic of demonic possession in the world today, and that most everyday people now recognize the dark reality of this scary situation. Dr. Richard Gallagher, who boasts degrees from both Princeton University and Yale University, says that despite conflicting opinions within mainstream medical science, demonic possession is both real and rampant. With 25 years of experience under his belt as a private psychiatrist that complements his two teaching positions at both New York Medical College and Columbia University, Dr. Gallagher believes he holds a unique vantage point discerning between human and non-human or satanic behavior. He's also a highly sought-after professional of such things in cases where determination is being made about the possible need for an exorcism. Having evaluated hundreds of cases of possible demonic possession towards this end, Dr. Gallagher is certain that the phenomenon is legitimate and pressing. Insinuated to the Telegraph during a recent interview that demons know full well how to trick human beings because they possess far more advanced cognitive faculties. They routinely use these mental smarts to control the humans they possess, causing many of them to commit atrocities and other evils against other people and life forms. They're very, very smart, Dr. Gallagher is quoted as saying about the beings that occupy the demonic realm. The intelligence level of a fallen angel, which is what I call them, is far superior to human beings. Dr. Gallagher's sentiments align with other recent reports about rising demand for exorcisms in the Roman Catholic Church. The Vatican actually held a training course earlier this year to teach exorcist priests how to handle this influx of demon-possessed humans. Pope Francis has also commented on the phenomenon, explaining to his followers that Satan is indeed a real being who's roaming the earth to devour souls like a lion. He wrote back in April that people shouldn't assume that the devil is just some myth, representation, symbol, figure of speech, or idea. Doing this causes people to let down their guard, he claims, making all of us more vulnerable. Francis also says that priests should not hesitate to send people who are suffering from genuine spiritual disturbances to exorcists. Okay. See, my whole thing has always been, you don't have to be an exorcist. And this is one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit. In all of us who's got the Holy Spirit, this is something we can do. It's not something I would suggest just run out and do. I'd pray about it first and gain some guidance. But it's a deliverance. You can deliver people from these things. Anyway. This is the last thing. You probably can't see that very well. So I'll clip that there. This is Bandersnatch. It's a Bandersnatch map. I found this at Twitter, and it's a Avengers comic. It's his Twitter, Avengers comic. You can just go there, and he put up this map from Bandersnatch. And this is a Netflix movie. A lot of you have probably already seen this. It's been kind of a hot topic lately, I've noticed. I saw it as well. I only went to one ending, though. I had heard there was more. I didn't realize there was as many as there are. But it's one of those. It's very interesting the way they put it together. Now you basically get to choose, if you will, different paths. And there are different outcomes, though, actually. So it's very interesting. Very interesting experiment. But for those of you who want to cheat, you can find the maps online. I just want to throw that out there. Interesting show, but this right here will show you, and I'm sure there's other examples too. They'll show you the different choices you can make to find different outcomes for Bandersnatch on Netflix. And that, I believe that concludes our stories for this evening. So, once again, thank you guys for being here. I'm back over here at the chat now. And I just want to say thanks again, guys. Whoa, we have a lot of people in chat tonight. That's great. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much. Again, I hope you, prayers for a good 2019 for us all. We'll be keeping our eyes open to see what's coming, to see what happens. It's going to be interesting. We shall see. Stay aware, stay awake, but live in peace. Don't live in fear about all the stuff that's out there. I love that we have a nice community here of people. We're all our own thinkers, have our own minds and thoughts. We don't always agree, but we're respectful with each other. And a lot of you guys give me great ideas for my videos and give me a lot of fantastic insight as well. So just thank you, man. I never look at this like it's just the KJ show over here. I mean, it's really nice. A lot of you guys will send me some great articles, send me links. Next thing you know, I'm making a video, So thanks, man. Like I said, it's been a real honor all these years being a part of this community with you guys. So I thank you once again. And more shows to come and more videos to come. Next few videos will probably be focused on the fallen aliens, another subject I'm really into. And there's been a lot of great footage coming out lately that has me scratching my head. Thanks again for my Patreon friends as well and PayPal friends, guys. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate you, man. Y'all have been amazing. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Thanks for being patient with my work and knowing that I like to take time and do the best I can on the videos I make and everything. And just thank you, for your patience, okay, and for your support. If anybody else wants to support me, I'll leave links below. Otherwise, guys, God bless you all. Thanks again so much, too, mods. Y'all did fantastic, okay? Thanks. I appreciate y'all every time. So until next time, you all, take care, and it's been a blast, all right? Let's have a good year this year, all right? Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get out of here, all right?